Hello, everybody. My name is Luke, and today I'll be talking about marine conservation. Marine conservation is something we've all heard about. Since we've been little, it's been taught about in school. And it's naturally understood that conservation is a vital part of all human ties to nature and the resources we utilize. However, there's still multiple perspectives on the issue. First, to what scale are our waterways in danger? Should it be a main concern, or have we made proper efforts to ensure conservation? In addition, what is the best overall approach to the issue? According to the Marine Conservation Society, the UK has lost up to 92% of its seagrass in the last century. And also, every year, an estimated 11 million tons of plastic enters our oceans, with 29 million metric tons of plastic expected to enter the ocean by the year 2040. All of which is scary data, but however, a notable thing to point out is how our viewpoints have changed over the century. With every new generation entering society, there's always going to be complaints, but it is safe to say that each new generation that we see is definitely more conservation minded, which is a very new thing. It'll just be crucial to see how my generation, newer generations, the generations closer to me, will address the policy concerning marine conservation. But the overall idea is to inform upon whether or not coastal conservation is being properly done currently, and do changes need to be made in a timely fashion. Just as some background information, the resources large corporations pull from the ocean and river systems create mass amounts of revenue. I think that's something really important to note on. Everybody understands the importance of marine conservation, but at the end of the day, a lot of mindsets are controlled by money. Therefore, companies and even countries have reasons to fight back against conservation efforts. It isn't done out of pure evil or to neglect people or to neglect our oceans. There's a reason that one could say we're hurting our oceans. It's because of our feel or need for certain resources. But then again, how do we preserve that for future generations? And how do we ensure that other countries, other nations are doing a good job of attempting to preserve our oceans, our rivers, our lakes? But on a positive note, and on the other side, many countries have made large strides towards their conservation policies. And to talk about a state specifically within our country, we can look at our own, Texas. One of the biggest conservation states in the whole country, in the whole world. For example, you can look at Texas Parks and Wildlife, an organization that gets millions of dollars in tax revenue, millions of dollars of revenue from hunters, fishers, anyone enjoying parks or waterways, which in turn then funds game warden, park rangers, people that are hired to ensure conservation. So that pool of money is definitely a very beneficial thing, and I think Texas has done a great job of that. Another association to point out would be the Coastal Conservation Association. According to them themselves, the CCA's proactive presence defeats many ill-conceived proposals before they bloom. The Coastal Conservation Association and its state organizations are engaged in hundreds of different programs and projects related to the conservation at all times. This is a self-started association, has nothing to do with the state. It affiliates with the state and is a proponent of conservation, but this is just a small example of what the United States and specifically Texas is doing in recent decades to combat or aid marine conservation. On the negative side, you have to keep in mind state tax revenue. Texas needs money, and at the end of the day, tax revenue, jobs, and progress are always going to be a priority, if not the priority. Very seldom do companies like HEB get told how to crab and how to shrimp. There's power in money, and that absolutely shows in our state. A second area I wanted to point out because of my personal experience with it is the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador. There is absolutely no commercial intervention here. The community is supported purely by tourism, and I've been there, and it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. You are barely allowed to knock over a small rock on any of those islands. You cannot touch the animals, you cannot fish, and because of that, it is a beautiful place to go. According to a case study done by National Geographic on the Galapagos Marine Reserve, the Galapagos Marine Reserve is one of the largest and most biologically diverse marine protected areas in the world. The MPA covers 133,000 square kilometers surrounding the Galapagos Islands in the eastern Pacific Ocean, about 1,000 kilometers off Ecuador's coast. I wanted to talk about that and point out that, yes, it is a beautiful place, and it's sad to see how amazing nature is without or with very little human interference. But the overall issue is, how do we find a perfect middle ground? Everyone is allowed their own opinion, and the debate arises on whether or not other countries should be obligated to assist internationally if we're doing better than another country. How do we approach that subject? As the average member of society, though, I think it's our responsibility to stay as informed as possible. It's our job to protect our planet for future generations, and I do not think that is something we should take lightly. So with that in mind, thank you.